getting dark, too dark to see. I feel I'm knocking on heaven's door. Knock, knock, knocking on
That's a good
heaven's
question.
door.
I noticed that each of the religions, they all have their own, I really subscribe to that whole spiral dynamics spectrum of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's really helpful to understand that, people, and when they talk about, stages of consciousness, I think it's really important also to note that someone can have one stream of their intelligence, a high level of consciousness, for example. They could be cognitively integral, but morally they could be sort of like, green or amber even.
Can you give us
I think that
Sorry, when you say green or amber, to people that don't understand it, can you give us other words for this green or amber stage of consciousness is what we're talking about?
Okay, green would be really pluralistic. So it would be where most Buddhists, just getting into Buddhism, it would be where they would be. Like, they would completely reject us even talking about, hierarchies of consciousness, because that would be sort of insulting to everybody below. Really, an integral would be, we're not dissing anybody by saying they're at a low stage of consciousness. And really, stage of consciousness is basically, I think, a language structure, a sort of filter with how people interpret their experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
A reality
I think
model, maybe.
religions can. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that it's like it's a person. It's these structures or stages of consciousness. They're present in all of us, right? So we can at least, if you're at the integral stage, that's supposed to designate you as one who is capable of taking all perspectives, or at least all known experienced perspectives by other human beings. So these are still, though, they're structures of consciousness that are present in you. So when you're saying that someone else is at a green level, you're not saying, you can't be dissing them, because you're saying, I only understand you because this is in me as well, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So it can't be. It's
exactly. And
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say it sort of ties back into what we were talking about, the shadow. As far as you said integral incorporates other perspectives. That is the spiritual work. That's the whole work to incorporate the other into your own gnosis.
Right.
So for you, is integral a true integral perspective? Is somewhat atheist? It's theist. It's spiritual. Does that become a gray mesh of just that, or is it actually really giving them their own place in this swirl, this vortex that is this complex kind of meme that we, or the human being, might act as a mouthpiece for? Is that more accurate on your perception of what it means to be an agent for this integral meme? Not necessarily people are not integral or pluralistic. These seem to be waves of a type of frequency that might be represented or spoken through the human experience, right? So these things just seem to be ebbing and flowing in not only the individual, but the collective as well. And when life conditions call for it, the individual or collective seems to regurgitate or upcheck that kind of the surf from that meme.
Yeah. So you conform to your surroundings to a large extent. So any of these structures of consciousness are collective achievements, as much as they are individual achievements. You need to be in the right community in order to give rise to a green or a yellow or orange. Every color has its own surrounding, its own sort of social matrix. Right?
Maybe we should put a link to spiral dynamics in the side, just so people, if they really want to know, understand these vague abstractions a little bit better.
But you were describing the evolution of spirituality before. We kind of interrupted you. I don't know if you wanted to continue that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was just saying that the evolution is probably the evolution of spirit is spearheaded with intelligences, and by intelligences I mean spheres or avenues of mental activity. So you'll have a mathematical intelligence, a mathematical avenue of mental activity, and you might even consider spirituality a sort of intelligence or an avenue of mental activity that sort of blends science with art, or the aim of art with the method of science. I think that
it's interesting how art and science used to be together. Like, you know, the church used to be where the natural philosophers and the artists, you know, that's where they did their thing. But nowadays they've completely separated. But sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you again. Go ahead.
No, that's good. Like, they used to be together, but you know, now of course, you know, it's probably best that we keep religion and you know, everything else apart until we get it right. But yeah.
So did you want to keep going along with this? What you've observed, this evolution of spirituality or evolution of consciousness? I mean, going from we started at a more archaic to magic kind of version of spirituality. You want to go from there, and you want to maybe explain some of these stages as you've come to know them, and then just kind of take us on that progression.
Okay. I would just say a more simple way to put it would be, you know, people start off as egocentric or really focused on survival and themselves and them personally, their desires, their need to belong. And in order to meet these needs, they sort of evolve to being ethnocentric or concerned about their family, their country, their group, their ethnic group, or people who are like them. And then they gradually evolve to, again, incorporate the other and find similarities in people that they normally wouldn't have considered like them or like their clan. And I think this really exoteric religion, as we find it in especially the monotheistic faiths, it really hasn't done that good of a job at, you know, bringing these people, bringing everybody up through the conveyor belt, if you will, through stages of consciousness, and offering a good platform for people to really explore. I would say you have to really look hard to sort of, you know, find a way that you can express your own higher consciousness. And I think that, for example, we have like a culture war because you know, for example, just us talking and right here, right now, would be a mortal threat to certain groups of people, right? If you know, they would be outraged that, you know, we're even talking about anything that, you know, could challenge the one God, basically. And I notice a lot of people in America are really at orange, which is, you know, they're not really too concerned about, you know, they don't have a deep guilt if they don't believe in God, but they will say that they do so they can get the benefits of community at church, or just not to stick out, but really there's no real concern either way. So I think that right along with orange, you know, there's a focus on science and a sort of, you know, a resentment against religion in general. And I think that that's probably where we're at, where we need to work on mostly. I will say this though, that most the fundamental religion followers or the leaders, they don't even really believe, I don't think, in what they're saying completely.
Yeah.
And that's what allows them to stay in a position of leadership.
I can't shoot them anymore.